Welcome to the Halftime Podcast, a 15-minute show where two panelists with opposing views must discuss why theirs is the best, and you get to decide the winner.
Hello, I'm Danny Cook, and welcome back to another episode of Halftime Cuppa's Halftime Podcast. Today, I'm joined by one fantastic panelist in the form of our very own resident Arsenal fan, Ese Agboaye. Welcome back, Ese.
Hi guys.
Glad to hear from you. Nice speaking to you again, and thank you for popping on. We were supposed to have Connor as well, Connor Martin, but unfortunately, he's stuck outside his house. He's forgot his house keys, so let's pray for him. Let's hope he can get into his house at some point this evening. Oh well, he'll come on soon. I'm sure of that. But anyway, today's show should be a really interesting one. We're talking a really current and interesting topic in the form of fans invading the pitch. Now, at the time of recording, we have had a whole host of incidents over the past few days in which people have invaded the football pitch. Just looking back, we've had West Ham fans running onto the pitch, grabbing the corner flag and waving it around. You've got the Greek league. One of the Greek clubs' president came onto the pitch with a gun holstered after disagreeing with the ref. And then we had in the French league, I believe it's Lille, fans also onto the pitch as well. So we are going to kick off with the topic and kick off the discussion with Ese. Now, the main topic of discussion is obviously, are fans right to invade the pitch? So, Ese, as I've just mentioned, West Ham, over the last few days, their fans obviously caused a lot of controversy going onto the pitch. What's your thoughts on that incident?
I get they wanted to have their voices heard, but I think it could have been staged in a better manner rather than doing what I did, especially seeing as one fan wanted to be Graham Souness for whatever reason. And
I suppose because they're protesting obviously for or the sort of, how do you put it into words? They disagree with the direction of which the club is going in, and well, it was quite toxic, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was actually. I mean, I see why they did it, but the way they did it wasn't really arranged well.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw much of the sort of the lead up to it. I believe I was seeing somewhere on Twitter, there's a West Ham group, and they were going to protest at this game or one of the other games leading up to this. And eventually they agreed a deal with, I believe, the owners that they would fund them, and there'd be some sort of fan meetings and all sorts. To try and sort of quash the protests. Clearly, this has not paid off, has it?
No, it didn't at all.
And just, I suppose, as an outsider, as an Arsenal fan yourself, would you ever consider maybe going onto the pitch yourself if you thought enough was enough and, I don't know, Wenger has to go or the club's owners have to go?
I think what will happen is that we'll get the usual banners out and just like slogans on it, like enough is enough, etc.
But I mean, this is the thing. You have to sort of, I suppose, credit the West Ham fans in some sense that they're following through with this and they believe so passionately about something. But in the same sense, they're bringing the game into disrepute, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. And now I've heard rumours that they may play their next home game behind closed doors or something like that.
Exactly. That was what I was going to lead on to. So you've heard these rumours, but what do you think will happen to West Ham, or what would you do if you was in the FA's position right now?
I think for those who ran onto the pitch, I'd be issuing lifetime bans. And as for the club itself, I'd be looking at maybe dishing out a fine and tell them any repeat action would then lead to stadium closure for fans.
Do you think the lifetime ban would be enough to sort of deter fans, to stop them from coming on? Because I saw on Twitter somewhere, it was one of these parody accounts, that their punishment was it was gonna renew their season ticket. But I wonder if maybe a lifetime ban, per se, is enough to sort of stop people from doing it.
Well, a lifetime ban being handed out would make fans think twice about their actions, and that's what will probably work.
And just on the fine as well, because obviously, like, from the club's perspective, they're obviously very frustrated. There's probably little they could have done other than having more stewards. If their fans behave in a certain way, they sort of take it in the neck, don't they?
Yes, they do, but that's the thing, though. I mean, about fans' behaviour, as I said with the banners, maybe rather than let any emotions get the better of them and doing something that they'll think about not doing again, they could get the banners out and show what they mean.
Okay. And moving on, when shouldn't fans look to invade the pitch? Like, when is not a suitable time for fans to go on the pitch?
Well, when play is going on, that would be a key area where fans shouldn't go on the pitch.
Would you have any other red lines? Say, and if I can remember off the top of my head, Norwich and Ipswich playoff semi-final a couple years ago. Norwich went through. It was at Carrow Road, and they went onto the pitch to celebrate. And obviously, you've got your rivals still in the stand, and there was I suppose, a bit of animosity, but not like a huge. It wasn't kicking off or anything like that, but. Is that maybe an unacceptable time for fans to go onto the pitch to maybe stir emotions and and cause, I don't know, potential punch ups?
I'd understand if it was like a playoff match or like the final day of a season, like for instance when Man City won the league back in 2012, fans invaded the pitch. I think that would be exceptional.
And is that, I suppose, one of the sort of, how would you describe it? The the breadcrumbs of football culture, in the sense that it's so intertwined with supporting a team. I remember from my supporting days, if your team won a league or if your team achieved promotion, everyone was on the pitch, and it was always reinforced as a positive action. But now it seems people are using it as a negative action. Take Blackpool, for example, a couple of seasons ago, when you had them halt the final game of the season. It's quite funny. I don't know if you remember, Ese. This guy in a mobility scooter came. He was on the pitch. He was having a whale of a time scooting around the pitch.
Yeah, I've seen that one.
Now, do you think that it's a case of maybe these people just using it for a negative excuse rather than like for the large part, pitch invading being quite a positive thing?
It depends what mood you're in. I mean, if you're in a celebratory mood, then I understand. But if it's like to show anger, then it becomes a worry because you don't want an absolute stampede.
So it's more a case of like safety and security?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So we've talked as to when they can't. We've sort of mentioned when they can, when you expect them to win and all that sort of thing. Is it justified that some fans invade the pitch during a goal being scored, as a celebration?
Yeah, I've seen some fans do that, and it's just embarrassing, really.
Why is it embarrassing?
No, because sometimes there'll be that egg on their faces. I remember, I think it was the Chelsea-Arsenal fixture at Stamford Bridge earlier in the season, where this guy went to celebrate a goal, but he got chalked off for offside, and he got chucked out of the stadium after that.
Yeah, to be honest, I don't know anyone, and I don't know about yourself, SA, but it seems like these people are so remote. Obviously, like the further you go down the footballing ladder, like the sort of, I would say, easier it becomes. Sadly, my local club back home, Lowestoft, when we'd win a league, would be on the pitch, sort of thing, and it wasn't exactly hard to get on the pitch. But at Premier League grounds, and Esa, I don't know if you remember as well, Millwall in the playoff, I think it was the playoffs last year or the previous year, and their fans came on the pitch. They're literally like one of the only teams or one of the only sets of fans I've ever seen get onto the pitch at Wembley, which is incredible.
Yeah, the FA obviously had a negative reaction to that because storming the pitch at Wembley, as opposed to storming the pitch at your own club, it's like it's different. I mean, the FA weren't happy about that because it's Wembley and they want to like maintain decorum.
Yeah, 100%. And one thing I suppose we talked about security. This will be very brief because we don't have much longer. Sorry, but what about young fans? Now, obviously, in the West Ham incident, some of the Burnley young fans were sort of invited to sort of sit on the bench. Do you think that it sort of gives off a negative sort of message to these youngsters watching football?
Yeah, I actually think like fans rushing onto the pitch, it doesn't send out a good message, whether you're in a good mood or a bad mood. It just shows like lack of discipline, really. Like, for instance, imagine like say a 40-year-old fan like rushing onto the pitch. Like, what message does that send out to his son or daughter?
Exactly. That child will probably be very, very scared. So yeah, no, I completely agree. There we go. We've just run out of time there. Final little question then. I could probably guess which way you're going to go with this, but should fans be allowed to invade the pitch?
Okay. In one word, no.
Okay. And if you was to maybe extend it a little bit?
I'd say in exceptional circumstances, like if it's celebratory, because fans can't keep their emotions in check, then fair enough. But if it's anger, I'd say fans should go out of the stadium and protest.
Nail on the head there, SA. I have to say I completely agree with you. I think we're sharing the same point of views on this. But you know what? I would be very interested if you are listening and you have an opposing view or you agree with us, let us know in the comment section below. Really would be interested. And, of course, hit that poll too and get voting. As you heard, the full-time whistle has blown. Be sure to check out the various pieces of content we have darted across our site, as well as our football predictor at halftimecuppa.com. Before we wrap up, let's give today's panelist, Ese Agboaye, a massive shout out. Thank you very much for coming on. Connor Martin, you will be on soon. I'm sure of it. I'm sure of it. Once you get your house keys, you'll be on soon.
Hashtag pray for Connor.
Hashtag pray for Connor. Ese, how can we follow you on social media?
It's at A96 OAYE.
On Twitter, of course. So brilliant. Go follow Ese on there. Lots of views on Arsenal. Well worth keeping up to date on. Anyway, my Twitter is at DannyCook1996 too, should you wish to follow. I've been your host, Danny Cook, and you've been listening to another episode of the Halftime Podcast. Thank you very much, Ese, for coming on again, and goodbye.
See ya.